Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Tidarium Hangar. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about the 1986 Hasbro Inhumanoids toy line. We're going to go through each one of these. I'm going to show you what all they sort of can do, and we'll discuss this coming up. So what does Inhumanoids have in common with Crystar Powerlords and Thundercats? Well, growing up, I only had one or two of each of these toy lines. Same with this. I only had these two growing up, but yet I had them forever, and it was a lot of fun. And now as an adult collecting the rest of these, that was quite an adventure also. So we're going to take a look at this toy line. All right, starting out, let's take a look at Liquidator here. So Liquidator is kind of an interesting one because he is all in yellow and blue, but very little articulation. So you've got some movement at the arms, and then you have this piece here, and it does kind of pop off. You got movement right there, and then you got some hip articulation, but not much articulation at all whatsoever. Now his helmet, it is light piped. He has light piping in that helmet, and there's light piping in pretty much everything in this toy line. I think every single figure has light piping, and the two vehicles have light piping. So with this, there he is. He's got like a squirt gun on his back, kind of like we saw with the Joker and some other stuff, but 1986, light piping and really bad articulation for the time. Seeing as how G.I. Joe actually was killing it with articulation. This is how big he is compared to a Sergeant Slaughter. Towers over Sergeant Slaughter, so probably not really a good fit for the 3.75-inch figures. Might be part of the reason that the toy line died, or it might have been the show, but might have been the comic. Anyway, here we are. This is Liquidator, pretty cool figure, and let's take this helmet off. He has a very small head for a giant mech suit, but really an uneventful figure overall, but you gotta have to have the good guys to fight the bad guys. Next up we have Auger, and this suit is all purple, which is a nice looking, cool looking purple, and he doesn't come with much. I mean, he comes with this auger. It's like a drill piece of his. Now they don't come with weapons, they come with drills and squirt guns and stuff, so here is the back. Looks like he could take a backpack. Similar style of design, I guess, to with a screw in the back. Kind of like Joe, except bigger, but no articulation. So he has no elbow or knee, just shoulder and thigh articulation. So popping his helmet off here. Now, these helmets actually do kind of clip in. And yes, it's light pipe just like the other one. But it's kind of a cool looking helmet. He's got a kind of an interesting look too. He's got horns out the side and all that. But then let's use ball too. So you could clip this in and it sort of holds. Some of the helmets sort of hold, some don't. But they are kind of hard to get. I guess they were easily lost because they don't stay on as well as they probably should. Anyway, that's how this guy looks. He's pretty cool, pretty interesting. Let's move to the next one. This one here is called Dr. Derek Bright. And Derek Bright is another interesting one. Now, the fact that his parts clip on at his elbows, you see a lot of these with just nothing past the elbows, but it gives it a bit of articulation with these traps. I don't know. He's got two bear traps, and interesting, I guess. But where's his hands? So he's all like a dark blue, and then so pretty cool looking color scheme. It got kind of a neon green going on with there. Obviously, because this is cast in plastic and these are painted, it's not going to match exactly. So, I mean, that's always a thing. But he's got a ton of green on his back. There's like a lot going on his back. Not much on the front. It's all smooth. Then a bunch of stuff going on the back. So, really strange there. And then he's got the smallest helmet out of all of them. He does actually have hair. Tiny head syndrome still. And then if I can get him to stand up, then here is his helmet, and it does, the light piping's working on this one really well, so, and the light piping, but Dr. Derek Bright usually just goes by Bright. So this is Kirk Armstrong, which I would say out of all of them has the most practical weapon accessory that goes with him. But anyway, he's kind of like an olive green with some red accents here, red on the hoses and stuff, so different sort of look to him. Still just a giant mech suit with a tiny head syndrome. This one's plugged in really well that it can even lift the figure out. Some of them plug in, some of these heads, I didn't glue that, did I? Man, that was on there good. I put them on good because I didn't want them to get lost, but anyway, here is his helmet. You can see the light piping going on with that also is a big thing with the toy line, and yeah, interesting there. And here's his head sculpts. So a little chunkier than the other guys, aren't you? So with this, he does have an interesting gimmick where you can deploy this. This part is easily broken though, so I gently pull it out there. But weird thing that if you find one of these broken, they don't want to. It seems like you can't repair it. It's like you can't take it apart and fix it and swap parts around. So you just got to get one that's not broken. And they just, it seems like they all are broken. It's so weird. Anyhow, he's got a grappling hook. That's what he does. This was probably not much fun at all for any kids to have any of these good guys. So let's get into some other ones that might have been a little more fun. So we're going to take a look at these guys, and they're different colors, but they're the same exact thing. This is a classic Hasbro maneuver to make two of the same exact figure in different colors and give them different names. So the tan one, I believe, is just the Granites. So there's a lot of them. And then the gray one is called Granok Mutor. So with this, I didn't have any of these as a kid. So as an adult getting them, I started to notice a few things. And let's see. First off, they don't want to stand very well. I was lucky to get them to stand like that. And they have a little bit of articulation, but it's all dependent on this rubber. So I wouldn't move that rubber too much. And it makes for very loose legs, and so it's a terrible construction in my opinion. I would actually have preferred that it literally was just connected, arms and legs, and not with this weird rubber mechanism, kind of gonna give like a vintage He-Man figure. So it almost is what the rubber pieces in there look like. The rubber connectors almost look like He-Man pieces, and it looks like it's even made because they know, hey, it's going to be messing up. You're going to have these holes here to swap out the rubber pieces. But still, they actually have light piping also. If you can see, their eyes light up. See that's feature and everything. But these guys, I didn't have them as a kid, and I don't think they would have been that much fun. But then again, they're kind of rock people. They kind of remind me Never Ending Story, that big rock guy. So this is Magna Corp, and this is one that I had as a kid, and just talk about disappointment. I liked him because he was big. I liked him because he could be some big mean monster that could fight my Joes and stuff. But it also splits right here. But the fact that he's made with that rubber construction in the legs, he doesn't want to stand well. In fact, the best way to make him stand is to put this shell that comes with him on there. It's like he turns from a rock into a lava guy, and so that's kind of strange. Now he stands real well with the shell on, but not so well without it. So let's look at this one here. He does have some articulation right here, his head a little bit. He does have the signature light piping, so makes his eyes look like they're glowing, and they're just a terrible construction with the rubber in the hips, and I'm always afraid they're going to break. So, and then if his arms are down, which I mean, he only can do this or that. I mean, he could walk like an Egyptian and all that kind of stuff. But the rock part doesn't look right now with his lava if his arms are down, so they have to be up. So it's kind of a silly, goofy, yeah. But I had it. I remember this thing very, very well. It got a lot of playtime. I'm surprised mine didn't break as a kid. Okay, so getting into the trees here, these are Redwoods and Red Sun, and trying to make some sense out of this. Okay, Redland Mutor is the dark brown one, this one right here. That's what I had as a kid, I guess. And then getting into the lighter colored one right here, and that one's called Red Sun, and then Redwoods are the gray one, so that doesn't make sense that the gray one's Redwoods. So maybe I got that wrong, but looking at this, they do have the light piping in there, and they do have another gimmick, which is kind of interesting. As a tree, you can pull up on it, and it kind of sort of grows. So getting them to stay in that like grown pose, and then to actually stand once that's gone on, it's a bit of a challenge. We'll try here to get them to stand like that. Maybe not. Let's look at the gray one, and the gray one is one that actually I never knew they made a gray one. So maybe he's the hardest one to get because I just didn't know they make it. I bought one of each all at the same time from the same guy, and so he gave me a deal. So I really don't know. I didn't have to track them all down. And that's another thing. Collecting this line isn't really that hard or that ridiculously expensive. It's just you got to wait for the right deal to come along. I think that's the way it is for most 80s toys. And I still see everything for this toy line pop up now and then, depending on where you're looking, on the Facebooks and the eBays and all that kind of stuff. But I don't need any more of these for sure. I got enough trees. But there's the lighter looking one from the back. It's more of a stump than a tree, right? I always thought of like, looks like a tree. It looks like a dead stump.
How should I punish you for your treachery? The acid bath? How about the ember pit? No, Lord Mettler. Yes, Master Mettler.
Now for the big party, the big Kahunas. This is what everybody thinks about when they think of this toy line, and this is what the toy line is most popular and known for, are these giant figures. And they are kind of cool and interesting, but they're big, giant kind of shampoo bottles, kind of in the way of Shogun Warrior. And the thing about this is they do have the light piping going on in there, and these things are kind of hard to get in excellent condition, but pretty easy to get in kind of whatever crazy condition they show up in. But here he has some articulation in his tendrils. He is called Tendril, so he has some tendrils, and that is kind of fun, kind of cool. Making them stand, this one actually would stand the easiest because of the fact that he has these extra appendages. When they shipped mine, I guess they took them off. I guess they pop off. I just haven't popped them back on. I'm afraid of some damage, so there's his other tendril. Here's what he looks like from the back, and yeah, a big giant monster. Let's look at these other gigantic monsters next. Next up on the list here is Mettler. Now, he's one of the hardest ones to get standing, so I'm not going to move him around that much. I was actually surprised how big they are, how cheap they feel. But, you know, that's kind of the thing. If you're going to make a big toy, it's going to be kind of hit a price point. It's going to feel cheap. Got a giant mean head. Now, the weird thing is, I understand that the light piping thing going on in there, and you can kind of see it in his teeth if you can get the light just right, and his teeth light up. But I think the clips that hold the head on are made of that transparent stuff too, so that's why the heads break off of these things. It's transparent clips, and that translucent plastic is very fragile. And there he is. He's probably going to fall over. But here's the back of this guy, and I just usually lean him up against the back of the wall because he is very unstable. Probably the hardest one to stand out of all of these. But that's Mettler. He's big, bulky, mean, and crazy. So the last actual figure is Decompose, which is, oddly enough, the most popular, or I guess the most sought after figure in the toy line. He does do some stuff, so he is kind of cool, and I kind of see why people like this the most out of everything in the toy line. He has this strange little strand of rooted hair, and if it's missing, I guess good luck on trying to put a strand of rooted hair in there. I got lucky with mine. It had it. I actually didn't even know if it had it or not when it was coming in. I was like, oh, okay, it's there, so I'm lucky. But he has another gimmick, though. Well, of course, he's got the light piping, but if you kind of press these in and out, then, and I don't know if there's supposed to be a spring in there to make it pop back, it's all manual, but his chest cavity opens up, and then you can stick a figure in there. And holding it closed with my hand there in the back, you can just hold something in there, but I'm sure there's lighter, smaller things that could hold in there. Let me out of here, you maggot. Yeah, that would work, huh, Slaughter? There are some paint apps. It's like different colors of red on the inside of the chest there and all around. So really pretty cool looking figure, massive. But there's one more thing that all these big ones could have been used for back in the day. I've seen several other people say the same thing, so I'm just reiterating it. But these would have made great beasts to battle Voltron, since they never made any of the row beasts in a big enough scale that you could actually take on Voltron. Voltron really never had any large enemies. They were just a bunch of little guys running around. So, and as toy and playtime, this would have been perfect. And I wasn't even sure I was going to even show these. They're not complete, but these are the two vehicles, and I just keep seeing them pop up. They're not for cheap. And what my friends that collect this say you need to buy these complete or you're just never going to complete them. So anyhow, that's probably where I'm going to sit with them incomplete because I don't really care that much. But the Trapeur has a couple of cool functions. If I get the rest of the parts, I'll do a full-on review of it. And then this is the Terra Scout, which is, this accommodates 2, this accommodates 3 figures. So kind of fun, kind of interesting, but ginormous. They don't really fit in my display. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the 1986 Hasbro Inhumanoids toy line. It is kind of a gigantic toy line, but there's not very much stuff made for it. It's pretty cool, it's pretty interesting, and it's a bit of fun. Let me know if you have any of these. If you had any of these back in the day, did you watch the show? Did you have the comic book? Like and subscribe. Titanium Hanger out.
Master Mittler, yes, I like the ring of that.
I don't like it when the natives down here call us humans. It was the kind part that bothered me. Quiet, Auger. My friend has a strange sense of humor. Earth Core, prepare for combat!
Right. I'm gonna hit him with the formula.
No, I've been thinking. Perhaps I might have miscalculated on the formula.
Should I spray him with...
Don't spray him with anything. That's how he got into this mess. Allow me.